Tonight, we are going to run one of our contest training sessions, and this is all about how to run a successful contest. This is really aimed at the club level. This particular training is aimed at the club level because the area and the division directors, they're getting their own training in the deck this year. So we're going to focus on contest chair and what it takes to not only plan, but execute a successful contest. If you are here, but you would like other folks to be here, don't worry too much about that. We're recording this session just like recording all of our training sessions this year. So to talk about that, let's move forward. This is actually our contest training blitz. We are running this blitz this week, 4 nights in a row, all contest training, and we're going to cover different things on different nights. Tonight is contest chair. Tomorrow is going to be contest master. On Wednesday, we'll be talking about judging. And then on Thursday, we're going to have a lessons learned, lessons from past contest winners. All of these sessions will be recorded. So if there are folks that you would like to come, get them here. It's always best in person. But if not, it's going to be available later on. We will announce that once everything is all over. So here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to talk about the club contest requirements. Now, this may be a little bit different than what you know about. So I just wanted to let you know that right up front. Club contest requirements, right? Maybe different than what you're thinking. Then we're going to talk about how to plan your club contest. If you can plan the contest well, you're 70 to 80% of the way done. Most of the success in contests is in the planning. Finally, we'll talk about running the contest, actually executing it. And of course, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. We've got a fairly tight-knit group tonight. This is going to be a lot of fun. So if anybody has any questions, we'll have Q&A in the end, but if your brain won't hold it that long, no big deal. Come off mute, pop your question out. We'll address it right then. So let's move forward and let's talk about club contest requirements. Just a show of hands, those of you on camera, who's read the speech contest rule book so far this year? Anybody? Show of hands. Okay. All right. A couple. That's good. That's good. Next question. Recognize this guy? Anyone? Pro tip. He's the founder of SpaceX. Franz recognized him. One of my favorite quotes from Elon Musk is this one. Possibly the most common error, he's talking about engineers, but it really applies to anybody, is trying to optimize something that doesn't need to exist. And that certainly applies to club contest. What do you say? Yes, let's take a look at the rule book. The rule book specifically says, each club in good standing is permitted to choose for its contestant for area speech contest by whatever means the club desires. Does that sound like you have to run a club contest? Surprise, you do not. You can choose an alternative method. I wanted to highlight this right up front because it shows up in the speech contest rule book, and the speech contest rule book rules everything related to contests. However, if a contest is going to be held, you have to run it according to the rules in the speech contest rule book. So let's say your club or a club you know wants to choose some kind of alternative method. They don't want to run a club contest or they can't. What options are available to them? Let's take a look at that. There are a few non-contest selection methods. Now, the answer really is, what can you do? The answer is you can do whatever you want as a club. You can run it by whatever means necessary, just like the speech rulebook stated. But it breaks down to a couple large processes. One is selection. You could have the club members vote. I've known of some clubs, they will have all the speakers speak, and then they just vote on who they thought was the best, kind of the same way that you do when you're having a vote in a regular club meeting to find out who's the best speaker or who's the best table topic speaker. Another way to do it is you could have the club officers vote for who they feel is the best candidate to move forward for that particular type of club contest. Now, alternatively, if you don't want to do a selection process, you could do a nomination process. Most likely, this is going to be the club officers choose. For example, if you only had one candidate for international or for tall tales, who would you pick? Well, that's real clear, right? So the club officers are just going to choose to forward that candidate onto the area. So before we go into all the protocol about how to plan for and run a contest. I want to let you know if that's not feasible for your club, you do have alternatives, and the speech rulebook outlines that very, very explicitly. So we've put that to rest. Now, let's say you do want to run a club contest. How are you going to do it? Great question. Here's the answer. Go to the speech contest toolkit. This year, the district has put together a whole collection of stuff for you to access in the speech contest toolkit. I know this link is pretty ugly in here. However, when we're done, I'm going to drop the PowerPoint in the chat. So this PowerPoint presentation is going to have all these links that you can follow. Let's check out this particular link. So voila, we have a Google Drive location that is the speech contest toolkit. These are various folders and forms that are incredibly useful for you when you want to run your club contest, whether you're running a an international speech contest or a table topics contest. You're going to find those resources for both of those right in here. And we're going to return to this in future slides. So let's move forward. We're going to talk about the first thing that has to happen, planning the club contest. Step number one, staff constraints and contestant constraints. Yes, there are constraints as to who can be a staff member, a judge, a ballot counter, and so on, and who can be a contestant. You want to know what those are? Good, they're in the speech contest toolkit. Pro tip. All right, we're going to talk staff quantity. Make this just a little bit bigger for you. So, in general, you're going to need one person per role, except for judges. For voting judges, the recommendation is that you would have three. Three judges is going to help you avoid problems like your judges have a tie or problems of neutrality. They balance each other out. But in general, if you've got a couple contestants for a club contest, either in Tall Tales or international, you're going to need about 11 folks. You're going to need a plan for 11 folks to be there. So when you throw a party, make sure that you understand how many people you need to run that party. It's going to be about 11 people. So it's not a small number. That's why starting with your club contest planning is super important. Let's take a look at contestants. Contestants have some constraints. For Tall Tales, in order to speak in a Tall Tales contest, it's pretty straightforward. You got to be a paid Toastmaster member, and you have to be from a club in good standing. Does anybody know what a club in good standing is? Show of hands. I know my veterans probably know. Yes, I see some hands from veterans. All right. So for those of you who have not participated in a contest, not run one, not been a contestant, a club in good standing is a club that has 8 renewed members or more. So if your club does not yet have 8 renewed members and you want to run a contest, run out to all those folks who haven't paid their membership dues yet and get them to renew their dues. If you have a contest and you forward a candidate to the area level and your club is not in good standing, guess what? They cannot compete at the area level, unfortunately. There's another excellent reason why folks can renew their dues. So the club can do what it needs to do so contestants can actually compete. In the international speech contest, there's a few more restrictions. Obviously, paid Toast member, club in good standing, right? That applies here as well. But number 2, they have to complete levels 1 and 2 in any pathways path. Now, if your contestants are veterans, they've been around for a while, they joined when the legacy program is still in effect, they can have completed the first 6 speeches in the CC manual, the Competent Communicators Manual. If you're relatively new to Toastmasters and you've never heard of the CC manual, don't worry about it. You just need to do levels 1 and 2 in your path. But for those of you who have been here for a while, you can use the first 6 speeches in the CC manual as the qualification. So those are contestant constraints. Let's take a look at staff constraints. What does it take to be staff in a club contest level? So this spreadsheet's a little bit busy. We're just going to focus on the club column. So as you can see over in the club column, the restrictions, the constraints and requirements are pretty straightforward. Be a paid Toastmasters member. Do you have to be a paid Toastmasters member in that club in order to be a staff member? No. You do not. You just have to be a paid Toastmasters member in some club somewhere in the world and have your dues be current. As you can see, when you move up to the area and the division level, there are a lot more restrictions. But at the club level, it's quite open. This is great because if you want to run a contest and you're running short on staff, go look for anybody who's a paid Toastmaster member in any other club. Pull them in and have them help you, and they certainly qualify. And you can run a properly qualified contest. If you have any questions about this, of course, as I mentioned before, this is all going to be in the speech contest toolkit. All right. So that's an overview of who can and can't be staff and contestants. Now let's take a look at the planning template. Now, how are you going to run this thing? How are you going to put it together? The planning template, use it. It's fantastic. I've personally used this template to run probably a dozen contests at least. So this essentially is a spreadsheet. Welcome to the magic of spreadsheets. It's a one-stop shop where you can look at all of the information you need to figure out how you're doing in terms of planning your contest. Up at the top, we've got spaces so you can list the name, the date, location of the contest itself, where you can list the times of the judges briefing and the contestants briefing. P.S. Briefings are very important. We're not going to go on that tonight, though. If you'd like to see more about the contestant and the judges briefing, come back to our training sessions tomorrow night and Wednesday. Contest master, chief judge, they'll cover that in depth. Down below, there's spots for all of your contestants and then your staff, the contest master, judge, chief judge, voting judges, and so on. This is a wonderful place to keep everything because you can instantly see, do I have enough people? Do I have enough staff? Do I need to go recruit more? You can put backup folks in here. Stuff happens, right? You're going to run a contest and people can't make it. Their car breaks down. Somebody gets sick. They have an accident. It definitely happens. So you definitely want to have backup folks here in your spreadsheet. If you got questions about what information to put in, flip over to the example sheet, and we've stuck in a mythical contest with our division Marvel, including James Bond, Batman, the Hulk, et cetera, et cetera. So it's got all of the information you'll need here filled out so you know what to put into your contest template that's over here. Everyone who has access to this template, to the contestants line, to the speech contest toolkit has read-only access. As I learned from our valuable Division F director, Elaine McKenzie, copy and steal everything. Go to this Google Drive, copy it all, pull it over to your own Google Drive. That way you've got everything you need and you can make all the edits you want in your own Google Drive. All right, we've talked about the planning spreadsheet. Now let's talk forms. Yes, there are a ton of forms that you need to fill out. Paperwork forms if you're running a physical contest, digital forms if you're running a virtual contest. The forms break down into 3 different categories: forms for contestants, forms for judges, and forms for your other functionaries or staff in the contest. All of these forms you'll find in the toolkit. They're fairly self-explanatory, but we just want to go over them a little bit here so you've got an idea of why they're used. The contestant profile and the contestant eligibility forms, these are things that each contestant has to fill out. Oftentimes what I will tell them is that they need to have the eligibility form filled out or they cannot compete. For your contestants that are successful and busy and thinking they can fly in at the last minute, whack them with a stick. Let them know that they need to give you these forms so that they can compete. It literally is true. You'll find in the speech rule book, but it's a handy stick. The profile is just basically a bio with some questions on it. Your contest master is going to use this in order to generate intriguing, interesting, show-stopping questions for contestant interviews when you get to the judging portion of the meeting. Winner certificates, fairly self-explanatory there. You'll need those as well. Judges. So you got 2 forms for the judges, the ethics and eligibility form. Similar to contestant eligibility, judges have to have these filled out before the contest begins. The voting forms are also known as the ballot. These are the forms you're going to give to the judges. They're going to, take notes. They're going to score and then decide who's first, second, third for each particular contest, and then give those to the ballot counter. So those forms are going to be used during the contest. Very, very important, those voting forms. Other forms for other staff. Timer sheet, right? Straightforward, so the timers can record the timer. Ballot counter is necessary so the counter can take the judges' voting forms, the judges' ballots, tally them all up, and arrive at an official first, second, third winners. They'll do that with the chief judge. And then finally, the contest winner results. This is a form that you're going to give to the contest chair, who will announce the winners at the end of the contest. By the way, this also contains information about whether or not there was a disqualification. Disqualifications are a big deal. Big, big, big deal. They can radically alter the outcome of the contest. So those need to be marked on the contest winner results. Let's hop over to the speech toolkit just for a second, because I want to show you a couple different places where you can find that. We've got the Tall Tales Speech Contest folder and International Speech Contest folder. All of the forms that we talked about for each contest is in each of these folders. These come straight from Toastmasters International. So when you want it, you want specific ones. And by the way, for example, the voting form for the judges, they're different. They're different for the two contests. So you can't use the international for the Tall Tales and vice versa. But you can find them both here. They each have their own dedicated folder there. So you can go there and grab them. Before we move on, I just want to pause and say, any questions so far? I know we've covered a lot of material. Any questions? Yes, Yanni, I see you raised your hand. Please come off mute. What's your question?
Can you hear me okay, chat?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you go back to the qualification for international speech contest? I might have shared the information incorrectly with my team unless that changed year over year from last year. I thought to be qualified to compete, the contestant will have to be passing level 1 and 2 or a DTM. The 6 speeches from the CC manual is no longer the qualification. Is that changed from this year compared to last year?
That's an excellent question. I thought it was still in there. It may have changed. I'll tell you this much, Yanni. The 24-25 speech contest rulebook, right? It rules everything. So I will take a look at that and verify to make sure, and then we can answer your question. There'll probably be a follow-up email or some information after that. To the best of my knowledge, you can still do the CC, but if I'm incorrect, then the speech rulebook rules, and I'll clear that up for you later on.
Yeah, thank you. Because last year, I believe that was level 1 and 2 or ADTM.
Got it. So this rule was effective as of 23-24. The 24-25 speech contest rule book has come out recently. So is it possible they changed it? Yes, it's possible.
No. What I meant was the one that I mentioned, level 1 and 2 or DTM was effective last year, 23-24. But you can double check and let us know.
Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you so much.
You're welcome. Other questions before we go forward? No, okay. All right, excellent. Let's move on to finding staff. We've talked about staff constraints. Now I'm sorry, there's one more question. Afyong, you have a question. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Chad, I don't have a question, just a clarification.
Yes.
The level 1, level 2 pathways or DTM award are the criteria for international speech. However, for Tall Tales, humorous, all of those other contests, you just have to be a member in good standing.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But I defer to the contest committee. That's just me reading the rule book. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, we follow the rule book, so I thank you for that so much. How do you find staff? Well, the first place you're going to find staff if you are running a contest in your club is your club members. Remember, the only qualification at the club level is that they have to be a paid Toastmaster member. That's it. So anybody who's a paid member in your club is qualified to serve in any role. If you're going to stick them in contest master or chief judge, the two most important roles, you'd want them to have some contest experience. But for any other role, they definitely qualify. Now, if you've got club members who are former club members, you haven't seen them around in a while, but their dues are still paid. Yes, they can come in, right? So long as they are a member in good standing, their dues are paid. You could reach out to members from other clubs in your area. In fact, they don't even have to be in your area. They could be in your division or district. They could even be from a different district if you know folks in another district. If you have trouble filling these roles and you don't know any other clubs, your area director is going to be your conduit to all resources at the district, and they can certainly put you in touch with clubs from your area, from your district, and so on. To find a chief judge, contest master, these two, like I mentioned before, they really need some experience in order to help guide the contest so it goes well. We've got a chief judge spreadsheet that's in the toolkit. Go over there and take a look at it. One of our contest committee members, Fran Ellis, has been working on that diligently to find folks who are qualified and willing to serve as chief judges. So you can certainly reach out to them if you can't find anybody else who is an experienced member to be a chief judge. With this slide, we come to the end of planning your club contest. Now we're going to move on, talk about running the contest. How exactly do you run the contest? Finally, you've done all the planning, 80% of the work is done, and we're here on the downbeat, and the contest is going to begin. How do you do this? There is a document that will help tie the whole thing together and keep all the cats herded, all the strings from coming apart, the contest agenda. Pro tip, it's in the speech contest toolkit. So this agenda template is a PowerPoint template. At the club level, you can run your contest in any format you want. If you want to do virtual, that's fine. Hybrid, in-person, all of those are perfectly okay. The template, the PowerPoint, lends itself to all of those formats, and here's the reason why. If you've got virtual and hybrid, self-explanatory, you're going to use this template. If you're in person, you don't have a TV, you don't have a screen or a projector or anything to use, I still highly recommend building or editing, customizing this particular template. And here's why. You can print it out and give it to all of your major functionaries, the contest master, the chief judge, the contest chair. Because this thing is streamlined and aerodynamic to help your contest move as smoothly and as quickly as possible, which is really, really useful. Nobody wants to get stuck in a contest that lasts for 4 hours because your contest master doesn't know what's going on or what comes next. So this is going to help you achieve that. Let's step through it and we'll go rather quickly. So each contest is basically split into 4 pieces: an introduction, when the contestants speak, waiting for the judging, and announcing of the results. So in the beginning, you've got a boilerplate slide here. The next one is the online speech contest statement. P.S. You're doing an in-person contest, dump this slide. Don't need it. If you're online, you need it, but if you're in person, you don't. And now you've got a few more things to help you move along. Finally, we're going to have a call to order, right? Your sergeant at arms will call things to order. You do stuff that you normally do at the beginning of every important meeting: Pledge of Allegiance, club mission, district mission. And now you start talking about housekeeping rules. Some of these rules apply to Zoom, some don't. You can edit this the way that you want to make sure that it applies to the format of the contest that you're running. Finally, the sergeant at arms hands off to the contest master. We're still kind of in the introductory phase of the contest at this point. Contest master talks about the agenda, and then you're going to kick off your first actual contest. Now, this says international, but you can change it to tall tales. It's modifiable. Make it fit whatever you want. P.S. If you've got 2 contests, right, international and tall tales, you'll need 2 slides, right? You'll need 2 slide decks, 1 for each, because that helps to keep everything on track. Again, we've got some rules in here. This is a little bit from last year, but that's okay because you can modify these to describe the type of contest that you're going to run. Here's one for international. Then, very important slide, who is speaking and in what order. The order of the contestants and when they're going to speak is determined in the contestant briefing. Normally, contestant briefing is run by contest master, can also be run by contest chair. But once you've got that order, you're going to stick it in here, get rid of the rest. That way, everybody knows who's going to speak first, second, and third. Very important to randomize that particular order. These slides, again, are not needed. Test speaker, that was from evaluation from last year. Here we go. This speech title and, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. This one, the contestant's speech title and the contestant's name. Super handy. Contest master has to announce them in a specific way. This will jog their memory. So contest master introduces contestant, contestant speaks, they're all done. What do they get? They get a minute of silence. In between each contestant, got a minute of silence so the judges can complete their ballots. When that's over, you've got contestant number 2, and you move on with the performance part of the contest. When the performance part is all done, last contestant spoke, they're off the stage. Everybody stays silent until the chief judge has the ballots and exits the room. At that point, folks can start to talk again. And now you get into the third major component of the contest, which is the interviews. Interviews are really just a way to keep the audience entertained. You're just waiting for the results. But the contest master is going to ask the contestants interesting, hopefully, questions while we wait for the results to come back. When the chief judge comes back into the room, at that point, you will hand off to the contest chair. They will recognize any dignitaries that are there with you. How do you recognize the dignitaries? Pro tip, dignitary recognition list for this year. It's in the speech contest toolkit, so you can find it over there. You'll then thank your contest team, because this party takes a lot of folks to make happen, and they're all giving of their time for the intrinsic reward of it all. And then you're into presentation of awards. So here we've got some placeholders for third, second, and first place. I want to give you a tip about how to do this. Whether it's digital or in person, create a first, second, and third place certificate for every single contestant, every one, especially if it's in person. And here's why. When the chief judge comes back with the results, you're going to have to figure out which certificates to give who. And it's a major faux pas to give the first place winner the second place certificate. That's a drag. It kills the emotions. So if you've got pre-printed certificates for each one of your contestants, they look great, they're professionally done, and all you have to do as a chair is flip through your little Rolodex, pull out the right certificate, put them in order, and off you go. And the contest chair can look like a star when they give those certificates out. Saves a ton of time. Once all of the certificates have been given out, the winners have been decided, announcements as the very last step, and then you're done. Congratulations, you survived. The agenda helped you to live all the way through the contest. Once you get this one contest done, guess what? It's rinse and repeat for the next one. At the area level, we're encouraging areas and divisions to run their areas together, back to back. And that's part of the reason for this particular streamlined agenda, is so that these contests can go as smoothly and aerodynamically as possible with the least friction possible. There's one more form I want to mention. We didn't cover it on the forms list earlier, on the form slide earlier, but we're going to go to it right now. The notification of contest winners. This one goes to your area director. So this is the form, not that you give to the contest chair to let them know who's first, second, third, but rather this is the one that goes up the chain, because bear in mind, where your club contest ends, the area contest is only beginning. So you want to have this with you and fill it out right at the end of the contest when the memory's fresh, when you remember all the details, when you can stick all this information in here and then get it to your area director. If you can, if you're in person, you can even take a photo of it with your phone and text it or email it to your area director right then. This form is super important, and trust me, if 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month goes by and you didn't fill out this form and your area director comes to you and says, hey, who won? It's hard to remember. So you definitely want to do it in the moment. This particular this form is the link between the different levels of the contest. You certainly want to get this one and fill it out. And this brings us to the end of running the contest. So now, as I mentioned before, we are definitely going to have a Q&A, but surprise, it's reverse Q&A. No, I'm just joking. We'll do your Q&A when we're all done, but first we'll do a reverse Q&A. So I want to ask some questions of the audience. If you know the answer, we got a fairly tight-knit group, please just come off mute and tell us. Veterans, if you know the answer, hold it inside. Let somebody else answer. I know you know the answer, but we'll talk to a few other folks first. All right, first question. This is a softball. What document rules the speech contests? What document rules over speech contests? Fran, you're giving the answer away in chat. What's going on there? All right, Fran is correct. Speech contest rule book. So you'll know the rule book because it has the picture of the previous year's international winner, the champion of world speaking. All right, next question.
I didn't
P.S.
put anything in the chat, Jed.
Say again, Fran?
I didn't put anything in the chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. I misread it. Yolanda was giving away all the answers. Next one. How many members does a club need in order to be a club in good standing? How many members are required?
8.
Myra, right on. You are correct. A minimum of 8 renewed members. Absolutely. So if you got 7 right now, go grab an 8th, right? If you got 6, go have a membership drive, bring them up to par. So, if you've got folks in your club that want to compete, you're definitely going to need them to compete. Next question. Do speech contestants need to complete their level 1 and 2 at any pathways before competing? Before competing.
Can you repeat the question, please?
You bet. Do international speech contestants, are they required to complete their levels 1 and 2 in any path and pathways before they compete?
Yes.
Yep, you got it. Absolutely. Myron, you're correct again. In the international speech contest only, completing levels 1 and 2 is non-negotiable. You can't bargain and say, well, I'll do it after the contest. No, it has to be done before the contest begins. All right. Are clubs required to run speech contests in order to select their contest winners? Are they required to do so?
No.
There we go. 302-734-7419. You win. You win.
Thank you.
You are correct. No, they are not required. But if they do, it must comport with the rules in the contest rule book. What's the recommended number of voting judges at the club contest? What's the recommended number?
3.
Myra, you got it. It is 3. Yep. That's so things can be neutral. You don't have any appearance of partiality with your judges, and to avoid a tie also, by the way, which can be a real drag if you get a tie. All right. Do all of your contest staff have to come from your home club? Do they have to come from your?
No.
No, that's right. Any paid Toastmaster member can serve in a contest staff role. It can be from anywhere in the district, anywhere in the world, so long as they're paid and willing to come and help you. Can a club run virtual or hybrid contests this year?
Yes.
Yes, you're right. This particular year, club contests can be in-person, virtual, or hybrid. By the way, so you let your contestants know, all contests at the area level and above, they must be in person. So area, division, district, they are all in person. So if somebody competes virtually and they win and they cannot attend the in-person contest at the next level, then they're going to have to forfeit and let the number 2 winner go in their stead. Everything at area level and above is in person. Finally, last question. Where can you find all of the digital resources you need for your contest?
In the contest book? Contest toolkit.
There you go. Myra, you are right on. Our other caller, you are close. The speech contest toolkit. That's where you can find all of those things. And what I'm going to do right now is so you have all the links. I'm going to put this into the chat. We're going to drop this in here. Okay. So I just dropped our contest chair training PowerPoint slide in there. So all of the links that you saw in tonight's PowerPoint presentation, they are in that slide deck. You can grab that from the chat right now and have all those for your own reference. There you go. SpeechCon with its super ugly Google Drive share link. Yes. Okay. Well, this brings us to almost to the end. So here is some resources for you. We talked about the toolkit. You may not know this. District 44 has a YouTube channel. And they have a whole variety of videos that are up there, not just about contest training, but about a whole bunch of other stuff. It's a wonderful resource. Stuff up there is updated. We've got stuff from last year. We're putting material up there from this year. It's very recent. Great place to go and take a look, to browse around. If you have any questions about contests at all, of course, you can find all the material there. If you want to go over to Toastmasters International and take a look at some of their resources, they have even more. Toastmasters International sometimes feels like the Library of Congress. There's so much stuff up there. We've got a link to their speech contest page, and then of course, a link to the rule book. P.S. If you're searching for something in Toastmasters International, you can't find it on their site, go to Google, type in the keyword Toastmasters, and then type whatever it is that you're looking for. Google has spidered their giant website, and they know where everything is. It works great. So now we are at Q&A. What questions do you have? Is there anything that was unclear? Anything you're confused about, need clarified, have a question about, are wondering? It's your time for Q&A. Go ahead. You can just come off mute and ask your question.
Hey, Chad.
Yes.
I'm getting questions around deadlines for club contests. So let me ask this question. Clarify this question for me. So as long as the area, I know it's due by the 30th of November, but circumstances given, if a club contest goes beyond the 30th or our deadline for clubs to have their contest, and the area, let's say, is 2 weeks later, can the club have their contest a week before the area and still move their contestants forward? That's the first question.
Okay, we'll take them one at a time. Great question, Latanya. Thank you so much for asking. The answer is an executive edict about this particular question has not yet been issued. So I can tell you that we haven't decided about that yet. The contest committee will take that question into consideration, and we will get back with you and the others about what the rules are going to be. In general terms, my very strong recommendation is do not run your club contest after November 30th. And here's the reason why. Your area director needs to know who the winners are. If you run your contest on December 13th and the area contest is on December 14th, you are giving your area director almost no time whatsoever to do what's necessary for the area contest. For the area contest, contestant briefings, judges briefings, paperwork, these things are all much more important than they are at the club level. And so you want to give your area director time in order to adjust and to plan for those things. So that's my strong recommendation. As far as the official answer, that will come soon. We'll take that under consideration. Thank you. What's your next question?
Next and final question. I've always heard 3 to 5 judges, odd number ending. 3 or 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just heard that you said I don't know if you said max min or what, the number of judges you need, 3. Boom. So if one judge does not show up and we have 2,
Yep.
so is that the reason of the 3 to 5?
Yeah. So the minimum recommended, and recommended being the strong word here for clubs, is 3. In the planning spreadsheet, there is room for a backup judge. And the backup judge is somebody that you secure that they'll show up, right? Whether they're going to judge or not, for the express purpose of people, having emergencies and not being able to show up. We also recommend that you recruit a tiebreaker judge. So that way the tiebreaker judge can be there. By the way, the tiebreaker judge is anonymous, right? And nobody knows who they are. And so typically what happens is that out of the pool of judges, the chief judge will identify one as the tiebreaker, the anonymous tiebreaker judge. So only the chief judge and the tiebreaker themselves know who they are. But with a minimum of 3, a tiebreaker, and one recommended backup, now you're at the 5 number you've got to deal with situations like you're describing, where you have a judge who just can't make it. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
You bet. What other questions do you have, Latanya?
That was my second and final. But thank you so much.
Okay, you bet. Thank you. There's a question in chat from Cheryl Griffin. She asks for clarifications. Is there a contest judge list, a list of people who will merely serve as a regular voting judge, as well as a chief judge list? And the answer is right now, Cheryl, no, we only have a chief judge list. We do not have a list of folks who would merely want to be voting judges. That may come in time, but it doesn't exist right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Fran, go ahead. I heard you.
That's okay. I had answered the question above when Cheryl asked it, but there will be a single spreadsheet containing both voting judges and chief judges, and they will be identified as such with a designation as to what they are qualified for.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Fran. I appreciate that. Other questions? Afia, you've got your hand up. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just so I'm clear, Fran, is it going to be the same list that's part of the toolkit now? It's just going to identify judge and chief judge?
It will look the same. It will have different names on it because I'm going through and eliminating people who are saying, no, I'm no longer in Toastmasters, or I'm whatever the situation is. And it will look the same, but it will have different names, and everyone will be designated in the same manner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Yanni, I see your hand is raised. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chad. Great session, by the way. And there is still a lot of question about, yes, we understand beyond club, it will be all in person. Contestant will have to come in person. How about, is there any limitation as far as, maybe you also want the judges to be in person? How about other functionaries? Are they, say we have members in Texas, in Delaware, Kentucky, can they even participate at all if they want to be a timer or something?
Great question. Thank you, Yanni. To the best of my understanding, the answer is no. So Toastmasters was very specific that every contest area and above had to be in person only, meaning no hybrid. In order to have some virtual folks, Toastmasters would have had to have allowed a hybrid meeting. But because they specified in person, then that means contestants, obviously. But by extension, it also means all functionaries must be in person also. So there is no hybrid component to it at all. So unfortunately, if we've got club members who are in other spots, as much as we would like to have them participate, they are blocked due to Toastmasters International rules. Thanks. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, we have somebody on the phone. Please go ahead with your question.
What if your club or one of your clubs does not want to participate in contests? Does that go against the area director?
No. So if you have a club, like let's say you're a member of 2 clubs, and one club does not want to have a contest at all, like they don't want to run a contest, they don't want to put forward a candidate, they don't want to select somebody and advance them, that's fine. Clubs are not required to run contests or to advance contestants to move on to the area level. It's encouraged, it's an exciting experience, but it's not required. And some clubs just don't have the folks to do it. Maybe they're not interested in competing, or they're a new club. They don't have anybody who's made it to level 1 or 2 yet. Nobody wants to do tall tales. That's fine. So what you would do then is you would just let your area director know, hey, one of my clubs, they decided not to participate in contests. They're not advancing a contestant, and that's okay.
Thank you.
You bet. Absolutely. All right. I've got a question in chat from Rao. Question is, can I judge at one club and participate as a contestant at another club? The answer to that is yes. Nothing blocks you from doing that. You would want to be careful to make sure that you are not bringing along any appearance of partiality when you're a judge. For example, if you are judging a contestant that you think is going to make it to the area level at one club, and then you go to a competing club in the same area and you just judge someone who might have been one of your competitors, that may introduce an air of partiality. So you want to be very, very careful about that. However, from a very strict rule standpoint, no, there is nothing to block you from judging in one club and competing in another. Other questions? What other questions do you have? Concerns, confusions?
Chad, I would like to clarify just a little bit on the judging issue.
Yes, please.
It's not a hard and fast rule in terms of the rule book, but it has also always been a protocol that if you are a contestant, that you not be a judge.
Thank you. So that's a standing custom in District 44 then, is that right?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. By the way, audience, for those of you who may not know, Fran Ellis, esteemed member of our contest committee. She is also our resident chief judge expert. She has been doing chief judging for many, many years, and she will be giving the chief judge training on Wednesday. So bear in mind what she says about chief judging. It carries a lot of weight.
I won't tell you what my father used to tell me about being an expert.
You've done everything wrong you can possibly do in any one subject.
No, a big drip under pressure.
That's funny. All right. Any other questions? We're happy to stay and take your questions. We want you to get all the information you can before you leave. All right. Well, if we've reached the end of questions, that's wonderful. Before we go, I just want to leave you with one more slide. This is a slide for our club contest training blitz this week. Really easy to remember. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night this week, all at 7 p.m. on Zoom. This is in the PowerPoint that's in the chat, so you can pull down the PowerPoint if you'd like to get that, have all these links. By the way, you can also find this on the calendar on the d44toastmasters.org website, which is a website for our district. You can find it over there. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody. Our great hope here tonight is that by the time you got to the end, what you learned would help you feel more confident and more capable when it comes to running your own club contests, so you don't feel quite so lost. It's a lot of information to take in, and we wanted to offer you a structured approach so that you can calmly approach it and not get stressed out. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time here tonight. Thank you so much. And we will see you tomorrow night and the next. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, Chad.
There we go.